Today we remember our church members and loved ones who have died in the last 12 months since our last All Saints Sunday. First, we will recognize the 6 church members who died. Then we will recognize 3 people who were constituents. They did not officially join the church, but they were a big part of our church family as they attended our services and supported Asbury's ministries. When the person's name is called, family and friends are invited to bring a flower to the altar in their memory. If you did not bring a flower and would like to participate, we have extras in the narthex. We have lots of flowers back there, so don't be shy. The ushers would be glad to assist you. After the reading of church members and constituents, Reverend Jan Durham and Reverend Jeanette Purvis will read the names of family members and friends of church members who have died since last All Saints Sunday, those that we have on record. And again, you are invited to bring flowers in their memory when their names are called. After we've read the names we have, you are invited to come forward to present a flower in memory of other loved ones. It doesn't have to be someone who died this past year. It could be someone who passed away many years ago. And if you'd like to say the person's name, you may do so by announcing it on a microphone that will be set on in the center up here. We'll move the microphone there at that part of the service. Members of our flower team ministry are going to receive the flowers and arrange them. Throughout the year, these people have arranged and delivered hundreds of arrangements of flowers to people who have been sick, who have been in the hospital, people grieving from a loss, people who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. It's been such an important ministry of this church. We thank those of you who are part of our flower team ministry. If you are here and are part of that ministry, will you stand and let us thank you, flower team ministry members. Now at this time, will those persons helping to arrange the flowers come forward? Members of Asbury Memorial. Jack Davenport. Jack married the love of his life, Ruby Riggs. They were married in Asbury's old parsonage and were together for 59 years. They raised 3 daughters, Debbie, Jackie, and Susan. Jack somehow survived being born at 3 pounds in the 1920s and grew into a large man and lived 91 years on this earth. He faithfully attended Asbury every Sunday until his health no longer allowed it. He most often was the first person to enter the sanctuary on a Sunday, sitting in his usual spot about 30 minutes before the service began. Jack loved the people of Asbury and was excellent at checking on and visiting our older members. His son-in-law Larry would bring Jack to the Saturday men's breakfast. Jack was the elder statesman of the group, and he shared a lot of Asbury history with the group. For instance, the men learned that Jack once lived right where the men were having breakfast. At one time, he had lived in a house that was located where our social hall is today. Jack reunited with God and with his Ruby on December 16th. Maurice Gwinner. Maurice and his wife Gay were one of the first couples to join Asbury in the 1990s during the church's revitalization. Maurice served 20 years in the Army fighting in the Korean and Vietnam conflicts. He flew airplanes and helicopters, achieving master aviator status. He ended his career as an aircraft maintenance officer and was awarded a number of military honors, including the Bronze Star and the Air Medal with 3 oak leaf clusters. Maurice was also a dedicated Boy Scout leader and was inducted into the Order of the Arrow. Singing was one of Maurice's greatest joys. He sang in barbershop quartets and choruses for 45 years, and of course he sang tenor in the Asbury choir. The gentle, kind-hearted Maurice was known for giving hugs and for being the first to say, "Let me know how I can help." In their retirement years, Maurice and Gay relocated to Macon, but they still supported Asbury financially and with their prayers, and would worship with us whenever they were in Savannah. Maurice made his transition on June 27th. Elizabeth Lariscy. One of Asbury's infamous elderberries, Elizabeth was a strong pillar of the church, always immaculately dressed, prim and proper, and known for the bow in her hair. Elizabeth always gave Asbury a little class. She was head of the altar guild, and she helped form the Busy Bees. She would often say that the main goal of the Busy Bees is not to make or to sell clown dolls. It's about fellowship, relationships, being there for each other. Elizabeth was a member of the church council when I first came to Asbury in 1993. In fact, every member of the church was practically on the church council back then because there were so few members. The first time I met with the council, I heard something that ministers rarely hear. Elizabeth said, "Billy, do whatever you want to do to bring us back. Do whatever you want to do." Sometimes I think Elizabeth regretted saying that. I didn't know he would do that. But seriously, her words of faith and trust meant a lot to me, and I have never forgotten them. She loved Asbury. She raised her two children here, Harriet and Ward. Her son Ward designed the beautiful crosses above us here. Elizabeth was proud to have lived 101 years, but she was ready and eager to be with her Lord and God and with all those original Busy Bees and other members of her church family who had gone on before her. She made her transition on June 17th. Beulah Harper Nettles. Beulah was one of the most known and respected English teachers to grace a classroom in Savannah, Georgia. Her 26 years at Savannah High School and Savannah Country Day made her an educational legend. Known for her tough assignments to stretch her students, we got to see a different side of Beulah at church. Easygoing, always supportive, joking with a dry sense of humor, always offering love and encouragement. What a great day it was for Asbury when late in the game, Beulah and her sidekick Dot Wallace joined the church. They brought joy, laughter, kindness, knowledge and thoughtfulness, and lots of family members too, for which we are thankful. Beulah was proud of her son Tom and her many stepchildren, who she didn't call stepchildren, Diane, Pam, Deborah, Susan, and Jimmy. Beulah's obituary page overflowed with comments from former students, more comments by far than any obituary page I had ever seen, comments of love and appreciation. Beulah touched so many lives, and we're glad she touched ours here at Asbury. She made her transition on July 3rd. Tim Rockwell. Tim and his wife Beverly were the first young couple to attend Asbury during the time of revitalization in the early 1990s. They were instrumental in the new life that was brought to the congregation. Tim sang in the choir, was a liturgist for the worship services, and was the chief dishwasher in the kitchen. Tim had a wonderful way of helping and relating to our elder members. And social justice issues were very important to him, one of the main reasons he became part of Asbury. Tim and Beverly were both dialysis technicians, helping and serving people on a daily basis. They eventually relocated to Plains, Georgia, where his parents had lived on Koinonia Farm. He was close friends with the Carters, and President Carter participated in Tim's funeral in Plains. He made his transition on June 12th. Dorothy Dot Wallace. The tiny lady with fiery red hair and beautiful blue eyes hail from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Dot and her husband, Dr. Stuart Wallace, were married for 60 years. They raised 8 children: Lynn, Ron, Janice, Sharon, Gary, Ann, Mark, and Nancy. And they didn't do it the Brady Bunch way. Dot did it the hard way. That little lady was tough and spunky. Dot and Stuart loved to travel the world and venture to Japan, Europe, and Australia, many times getting to enjoy the journey with children and grandchildren. Dot came to Asbury with her cohort Beulah late in life, but the years spent here were rich and fruitful. They attended almost every study group and event that was offered. They were both excited about life and learning and making this world a better place. It is ironic and appropriate that Dot and Beulah are both being remembered and honored today, that they made their transition the very same year. Dot made her transition on April 19th. And now the 3 constituents who are also a big part of our church family. Lillian Lindsey, close friend and companion of Marie Winters, mother of George and his wife Laura, sister of Phil Hunter and his wife Betty, aunt of Kim Johnson and her husband Steve. Lillian was an incredible force of nature, often referred to as Mrs. Della Street of Savannah. Lillian was a top-notch businesswoman. She retired from the Corps of Engineers after 28 years of service. In 1967, she started a new venture as a pioneer in the restoration of homes in downtown Savannah. She and Marie were role models for women who wanted to pursue a business career. Lillian not only worked hard, she played hard, always wanting to laugh and dance. And she became known for her annual St. Patrick's Day party. Lillian loved life, her family, her friends, and her God. She made her transition on September 12th. Roger Pelletier, the Massachusetts native, served in the United States Air Force and received a Medal of Commendation. After moving to Savannah in 2007, Roger worked as a department manager for Walmart, where he was loved by his co-workers, his Walmart family, he called it, and as he was loved by his Asbury family. Roger's life partner was the late Ron Dufault, who also was a part of the Asbury church family. Roger made his transition on June 14th. Kelly Redmond. Kelly and his wife Janet were our Santa and Mrs. Claus at our church Christmas parties during the 1990s. Kelly's jovial and bubbly personality made him the perfect choice for St. Nick. He loved to bring laughter and joy. Kelly was also a gifted musician. He played the piano by ear and would often liven up a church coffee hour by tinkling the keys and playing some boogie-woogie. Having raised 4 sons, Kelly and Janet would be having their 58th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Surely Kelly is in heaven bringing joy and some boogie-woogie.